Hi everybody. Hope you guys missed me. I missed you guys. I had to decompress, and I do research on topics. I did 3. Sometimes it can get you to negative headspace, especially when you study in politics and government and how it affects black people. And like the malicious things they do for no reason at all, apparently. Probably just because they've never experienced being a deity. But so I like to take a minute to decompress, hang out with friends, chill, drink or whatever, and just be merry and happy, and it kind of takes, you have to balance yourself. It takes the edge off from, from the effects of having to deal with the knowledge. It's hard to be knowledgeable. I got so much knowledge in my mind till sometimes my common sense is affected, Anyway, let's get started. So today we're going to talk about nutritional warfare. This shit is real. This shit exists. And we need to recognize it. And we also, not only we need to recognize it, but we also need to kind of counter against it. We have to start feeding ourselves. We cannot keep depending on the dominant society to feed us. That is absolutely asinine. If Malcolm X said, if Malcolm X said only a fool let his enemy educate his children, then only a bigger fool will let his enemy fucking feed him. Are you crazy? Okay, so we're going to dig right into it then. First of all, let's talk about the fact that we have forgotten that the labeling process that Obama, it's probably the only thing he ever did good, made farmers put on their food. When the barcode on the food, when it begins with a 3, is genetically modified. When it begins with a 4, it is conventionally grown. And when it begins with a 9, it is very expensive. I said expensive. It is organic. Very expensive. So, and I think we forgot that. We forgot that shit. When you go in the HEB and you see all those fucking oranges, you're like, damn, these oranges look good. These motherfuckers are, how much price? $24, whatever the fuck it is. I'm going to get these and feed them to my children. You damn fool. Really? So, well, I mean to call you a fool. Just don't feed your children things that aren't real, There's no nutritional value in inorganic material. There's no nutritional value in eating things or consuming things that do not have life or that cannot procreate themselves. So, what I mean by that is, for example, seedless food. We know God did not create seedless food, and it had to be created by mankind. The reason why we know that is because God did not create anything that cannot reproduce itself. Nothing. You cannot name nothing in nature that does not reproduce itself. Even a tree's roots will go on for miles, sprouting up more trees. That one grape he created, she created, that ultimate energy created, that one orange grew up the wall in the vine. Millions of oranges now. Millions of grapes now. You see what I'm saying? So God did not make anything that cannot make itself. That's crazy. Humans. Bam. You have the Holy Trinity. All I'm saying is that we have to think about that. We have to be mindful of that. Okay, so why are people always trying to create food? I don't know. I don't really give a shit why. All I know is that it's not healthy. We cannot digest it. There's no nutritional value. So we are basically starving ourselves, and we don't understand that. We are fucking starving. But we putting food in our mouths and we feeling so full. But by the time that food digests and we don't get nothing out of it and then we go and defecate, we're still starving. We still need those nutritions. We still need those vitamins. You know what I'm saying? When I say we're starving ourselves, that means we're starving ourselves of nutrition, not of food. Or what we call food, this new age food. We're starving ourselves of nutrition, which means the vitamins, the elements, the compounds that we need to ingest in order to keep our body functioning appropriately. Basically, we're not eating ourselves anymore. We were born with these vitamins and stuff, but we use them through exertion and using our bodies. So we have to replenish on those things. And that's why we have food. That's why God gave us food, to replenish ourselves. But if we're not eating God's food and we're eating man's food, guess what? You're going to starve. Bottom line, point blank. Okay, so let's talk about genetically modified food for a minute. GMO food is the food that has been given a trait. They have modified it genetically to give it a trait, add a trait to its genome. What I mean by that is the it's not even 5 minutes. I only get 20. Okay. So what I mean by that is that they, for example, say you want to grow a watermelon that automatically repels caterpillars, or greens that automatically repels caterpillars. Then what you would do is you would splice it with, number one, you have to use somebody's DNA already. A lot of times they use animal DNA. And then you add that trait to it, or add that certain characteristic to it. And then you put it into the seed. Then you plant it. And then next thing you know, while the food is growing, it's repelling stuff. That's what happened to the bees. If you watch a documentary where the bees go, you will see that the bees cannot appropriately pollinate because they have these seeds now that are growing these things, or these plants or this food that the bees eat off of. They now have pesticides in the seeds. So then the bees are in turn getting sick. The honey is fucked up, making us sick. Or it's inorganic. It's just brown sugar now. Brown slime, sludge. We don't know what the fuck that shit is. So anyway, that's what genetically modified food is. They're splicing this shit with the DNA of an animal and a certain trait. And they're putting it into the seed. So that way when that next crop grows, hey, we don't have to worry about the pest in it because we put pesticides in it already. But just think about it. That same orange, apple, watermelon that you grew with those pesticides in it, we're consuming those pesticides. Oh, what do pesticides do to the body when we ingest it over and over and over again? Let's think. Cancer, maybe? I don't know. Is that a cancer? If we look up the definition of cancer, that's going to be our homework. Look at the definition of cancer. Everything is cancerous. But anyway, so then we go to conventionally grown food. The conventionally grown food are the foods that use pesticides as opposed to having the modified crop that use pesticides and other conventional ways of growing food. Now, what is conventional? I don't know. I'm not a farmer. I grew up on a farm, but it was an old school farm, not this new shit. We actually had food on our farm. So, I don't know what that means. We should find out. But what I know of conventional growing is they use certain fertilizers that have pesticides in them. Sometimes they strip away light. Now, in my research, the only thing I found in conventional farming was the pesticide thing and the capsules and all that their stuff. That was all I found. I think there's other conventions that they're using to grow these crops that are not publicized, that we don't know about. You know what I mean? Because there's only so much research I could do with Google and the library. You know what I mean? So without actually being a farmer or going to speak with farmers, not that they would be honest, because they running a business too. Then you have organic food. We know what that is. That's natural food. That's God's food. So let's think about this. Where do you find organic food? In the upper echelon neighborhoods, in the neighborhoods of the dominant society. They are not down the street at the food town. It's not around the corner. We don't have access to that food unless we have a ton of money and unless we have a lot of gas. That's the only way we're going to be able to really buy organic food. H-E-B has a small organic section, but it has a very big genetically modified section and a very big conventionally grown section. But that is the Whole Foods of the ghetto. That's our nice grocery store. Where's Whole Foods at though? They're strategically located where? In the dominant society's neighborhoods. That's where it's located at. You're not gonna find a Whole Foods in the hood. You're not. If we had honest, healthy food available to us, we would definitely take advantage of it. Look at our children's school's food. So unnutritional. That's why they come home tired and hungry and experiencing probably bad grades and stuff. Because if you do not nourish the body correctly, it's not going to function correctly. If you don't give the body some omega-3 and some vitamin Bs, then that brain is not going to function correctly. So we have to kind of take ownership of that, be aware of that, and make sure we're giving our kids nutritional things to take to school as opposed to depending on the school to educate them and feed them. Goddamn, we basically depending on our oppressor to raise our children for us. That is fucking crazy, but we're going to stay on topic. Nutritional warfare, guys, it's real. It is real. Do you honest? And let's talk about why are they trying to make food? Because I think it's because they've never experienced being deity. They've never been considered God. They've never been worshipped, and they kind of want that. They've always wanted that, which is why they had the Council of Nicaea in the first place. This is something they were tired of planting the Black Madonna and Child, which the Pope and the people in the Vatican and actual people that practice true Catholicism, they still worship and pray to the Black Madonna and Child, which is part of the Holy Trinity, the man, the woman, and child. But anyway, so they've never experienced being deity, so of course they want to figure out, oh shit, how can I make an apple? These motherfuckers will slaughter, commit mass murder against all the apples, just to say they made an apple. Okay, let's talk about seedless food again. Remember, God did not create anything that cannot reproduce itself, right? So if it does not have a seed in it, it does not have any life in it. It's a lifeless thing you're eating. Even water is life. We are constantly consuming life. That's why when I make my greens, I barely boil them. You know, I like my food blanched anyway, with my vegetables blanched anyway, or slightly seared. Because I don't want to cook all the nutrients out of it. I don't boil the shit out of my greens for 5-6 hours. And no, I don't. So we have to kind of be mindful of that. We have to kind of not be so trusting. We have to kind of ask questions, do some research, scan those barcodes, look those barcodes up. They also have toxicity barcodes on our hygiene products, like our toothpaste, for example. They have the little red, the green, and the blue, I believe, to tell you how toxic that stuff is to your body. They give us the information because they have to give it to us, because if they don't, then they're liable for the illnesses and stuff that this stuff can cause. How do you know when the food is not organic anymore? Okay, because they're not going to always tell you. A telltale sign is these recalls. About 5-6 years ago, there was a recall on cantaloupe. Cantaloupe was killing people. That's when they was trying to figure out how to make it. I haven't ate a cantaloupe since. I don't really eat too many melons except for watermelon. And that's because it's a dietary supplement. Now, and let's think about the, what else was recalled? Cilantro was recalled. All those people getting sick off that cilantro from Chipotle, but that's because Chipotle is buying that cheap shit. They're not buying organic cilantro. Cilantro has been recalled 4 times in the last 2 years. 4! The last 2 years. I have a culinary degree. I know for a fact this is true. If you don't believe me, do your own research. Google it. I do it. Don't believe me. Matter of fact, don't believe me. Everything I'm saying, look it up yourself. So, now we have to talk about the fact that the recalls. Avocados have been recalled. And then another telltale sign is when stuff goes from very expensive to very cheap. Cherries are not very cheap. Cherries used to be $12 to $15 a pound. Organic cherries, because they're so healthy, they help with brain atrophy, headaches, things like that. So, depression, that's brain food. Cherries are brain food. Now you can get them for about $4 or $5. Bitch, when? Or avocados used to be $3 or $4 each. Now you can get one for 69 cents. Bitch, where? And they're smaller. Okay? When expensive food goes to be cheap, that's because they're producing it cheaper. They're making it. They pushing that shit out there. Now it's that abundance. So now when they have that abundance, they can sell it to you cheaper, and then you buy more of it. Really, you spending the same thing. You think you get more bang for your buck. You're really getting less nutrition and less life. That's what you're getting. You're really killing yourself. You're committing suicide when you eat inorganic materials. That's just what that is. Bottom line, point blank. We have to be aware that this is real. They don't like us or love us. And I'm not saying that this is just about a black and white thing. You have to understand the dominant society, the upper echelon part of the dominant society, I think y'all call them the 3%ers. They don't give a fuck about nobody but the 3%. Okay? Now when it comes to white privilege and stuff like that, you know how they strategically place healthy food in the upper echelon neighborhoods of the dominant society? Yeah, of course. Or whatever. They still like their white brethren, but they don't fuck with y'all like that anyway. All white people just part of the oppression because they actually want to ascend to be the 3%er. Well, black people know we ain't gonna never be a part of the 3%. We ain't worried about 3%. We really don't like the 3%. You know what I mean? So, but we have to stop and think about what we're putting into our bodies now. We have to be concerned. Look out there on the corner. Look at your brothers and sisters out there looking emaciated, skinny, toothpicks. No one is that small. I know petite. I was petite my entire life. I think I'm still petite, but whatever. But I've always been curvaceous. You know, I've always had some meat on my face and my bones. And these people look like they are starving. You don't know why? Because they are starving. They're starving from the inside out. We are killing ourselves. And we're not, number one, we're not placing the blame. We're not causing a ruckus about it. So they're going to keep doing it. Do not eat seedless foods. Okay? Do not, if it cannot procreate itself, it is not of God. If it's not of God, there's no nutrition in it. It cannot support a godly body if you're not putting godly things in it. Remember, you are deity. You are the first one here. You know what I mean? So you, of all species and beings, have to consume God. God eat God. That's the simplest way I can put it. You know what I mean? You cannot depend on mankind to feed deity. It does not work. Mankind can survive on a less nutritional diet because they're mankind. They're not human. You know, you have to have hue to be human. And then hue is more than just a color tone. You know what I mean? If there's civilization in melanin, and if they calcify our pineal glands, where we actually secrete our true melanin. You know, melanin is not just about color of the skin. Melanin is what civilizes us, gives us our common sense. It's what makes us God, which is why it is fucking $12,000 a gram. Oh, yes, they buy melanin. How they getting it? So this is what I'm saying. So if we know these things, then we have to be conscious and cognitive of what we're doing and how we're affiliating ourselves with the dominant society. We just can't keep trusting them to feed us. Are you fucking crazy? Buy property. Get out these fucking apartments. Get a fucking house. The same mortgage ain't number $800 to $1,200 depending on how much house you buy. Or go rent a house. I don't give a fuck. Get you a yard. I don't care if you go to your mama's house, plant your food at your mama's house. Plant you some greens, onions, tomatoes. Matter of fact, a lot of things, if you can just take an onion and chop off the butt of it and throw it in the ground, it'll grow itself. That is of God. You take some garlic, throw it in the ground, and it's going to grow itself. Mint, throw it in the ground, it's going to grow itself. Mint is a wild weed, so is cilantro. So all I'm saying is that we can grow our own foods. And we can take care of ourselves. Don't go buy the seeds. Just go plant the real food. Because I don't really trust the seeds either. You can take the bottom butt of a cabbage, chop that bitch off, throw it in the ground, and it's going to grow itself. So, nutritional warfare is real, people. My videos, I like them to be a catalyst to provoke thought, to invoke thought, to invoke change. So now that I've given you the thought that nutritional warfare exists, now you have to take that information and take this catalyst that I'm giving you and be like, okay, let me look at these codes on this food. Okay, this should begin with a 3. We know this is made in the lab. I don't want to feed my children test tube food. Okay, I don't even eat responsibly grown. Because I don't know what you feel is responsible. That's too a wide range. And if you look at how it's defined, it's kind of like the Bible. You know, it's just one can beget the other. You know, one sin is a sin, but then it's not a sin if you do it like this. You know what I mean? So like it's a sin to murder. But you can kill your slave for not listening to you. All that shit is in the Bible. So that's the same way of these definitions. They have changed the definition of organic 4 times. 4 times in total when it comes to food. The definition of Negro has changed of nigger has changed 6 times. While we was arguing about, they would change the definition. Now it went from being an ignorant person to being a person that's black. So we can't trust what we're reading. All we know is that we need to eat what we grew. If you didn't grow it, don't eat it. You know what I mean? Like, subscribe, and share. Well, you don't really have to share. Like and subscribe. And most of all, I want you to listen. Okay, share. Because I want more people to understand and listen to. Like, subscribe, share, and listen. And tell me what you think about nutritional warfare. What do you know? Teach me something too, you know? I don't know everything. So I would love to hear from you guys. You know, like, subscribe, share, comment. And most of all, please listen. You know, if you don't believe me, do a little research about my research. And understand that it is real. We cannot keep eating responsibly grown or genetically modified materials. We cannot do it. We cannot keep feeding our babies the breast milk of a different mammal. Get off that milk shit. Okay? Peace and love.